Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. In this video today, I want to talk a little bit about Bjergsen. I really think that this upcoming split is a really big one for Bjergsen, but really all of Team Liquid. I think all of these players have something to prove and are kind of playing with a chip on their shoulder. When I start looking at kind of the team from top to bottom, like one, it's a super team. This is a very expensive team that just in the spring playoffs finished third. And yes, third is good enough to get you to Worlds, and ultimately if you make it to Worlds and have a good showing or a good performance at Worlds, it's going to make people forget about what happened during the regular season, forget that you didn't win LCS titles or you didn't make LCS finals or whatever. So it doesn't really matter as long as you get to Worlds and play well. But if you're finishing third in the playoffs, it's not really a great sign. But also, Cloud9 got a lot better, I believe, and I think a lot of people believe, from spring to summer. So if you're the third place team in the spring and Cloud9's better, maybe TSM will be better this split, it's not exactly the most safe spot to be in the world. You're going to need to make some big improvements. And again, when you look at this roster from top to bottom, you have Whippo, who has had two kind of disappointing top lane splits in a row, thinking back to spring of 2021, where he really did not have a good top lane split for Fnatic, and then obviously he ends up going to jungle, where he does a little bit better and things go a little bit better, but now he's a top laner once again, and if he wants to remain a top laner, but also a top laner that's able to get big contracts and sign to top competitive teams, then he's going to need to step up. He's going to need to be a little bit better, because I think at times during the spring split he had good showings, but overall I'd say spring split was kind of a big disappointment for him, especially when you look at kind of how Team Liquid ultimately got bounced out of the playoffs. It's not like he had an amazing series or anything like that. You have Santorin, who I think was pretty good for Team Liquid throughout the spring, but there's some talks of people saying, hey, we want Spica, or hey, we want a different jungler, whatever. Is Santorin really the best jungler in North America? We'll have to see how that goes. Bjergsen, this is now going to be his second split since coming back from retirement, so he doesn't have like the I was retired before. I wasn't even playing. I got to get my feet wet. I got to shake the rust off and all that stuff. This is time to put up or shut up. This is summer split. You had preseason in the spring. You had the lock-in tournament. You had spring regular season. You had spring playoffs. Now it's time to get going. Also, Jensen's going to be back in the LCS right now. This is like his longtime rival, all this stuff. And then obviously with Hans Sama, I think he kind of had a really disappointing series against Evil Geniuses, where Core JJ and Hans were able to get leads in lane, and Hansama was not able to convert those into victories. Meanwhile, on the other side, Danny was consistently popping off in the late game despite getting kind of behind early. And if Hansama wants to prove that he's still one of the best AD carries in the West, I think he's going to have to be better than that, especially when you're getting paired up with Core JJ. And then Core JJ, there's some talks about him that, hey, is Core maybe a little bit overrated? What's been going on recently? He hasn't necessarily been looking the same, and he's also in the last split of his contract here. So if he wants to play for, the mega contract, the biggest contract possible, he's going to have to really come out and show some things. But again, this whole Team Liquid roster is built for international success. This is a team built to compete for international titles, to be not only making it to international events, but to be relevant at international events. So I really do think that this whole team has a lot to prove. But if we check in with Mr. Bjergsen, the point of this video, you can see here, this is from his stream, Bjergsen LOL, KR Master short stream before scrims, which is really cool, because if we think back to the spring, Bjergsen went on like a solo boot camp to Korea or whatever. He just wanted to focus on his own play. He wanted to grind Soloq. He wanted to play against the best of the best. He wanted to play against and play with some of the champions that he hadn't really got to play throughout 2021. Obviously, some new champions come out, some new champions become meta, there's new playstyles, new strategies, all that stuff. And yes, Bjergsen was still playing the game a little bit, but while he was a coach, he was mostly obviously coaching, not necessarily playing and grinding. And even if he's playing some solo queue, he wasn't playing competitive. And we also know that he said at that time he was playing a lot of jungle and solo queue and stuff like that. He felt like that was what helped him kind of learn the game and be a better coach and all that stuff. So he went on the solo boot camp, which I think is good. I am never going to, knock a player for going on a solo boot camp. I think they might be a little overrated and all that stuff. But I think this summer boot camp, where obviously if they're doing scrims, all of Team Liquid must be there, or at least most of Team Liquid or whatever. I don't know if anyone's had visa issues or anything like that. I hope their whole team is there. But at the end of the day, I think that's way more beneficial. Yes, you are still getting to play solo queue, you're getting to play Korean solo queue, the best of the best, highest quality, all that stuff. But also, you're still there scrimming with your team and actually preparing for the season, building up synergies, building up strategies, building up game plans so that you can actually start out hot in the summer split, start racking up wins, start racking up confidence, and then hopefully take some momentum into the playoffs, into Worlds, all that stuff. So you can even guarantee yourself and your team a spot at Worlds, but also so you can do really, really well. But obviously, if Bjergsen has been grinding some Korean solo queue, I wanted to check in and see how he was doing, and this is his account. I wanted to look up real quick what this means. I guess we can translate this real quick. I forgot that I was going to do this. I don't know what this means. I haven't really looked yet. We have Korean translator up here. Okay, there we go. This translates to Team Liquid single man. So you maybe he's a little down bad right now. I don't know exactly what's going on. But also it does kind of confirm that this is Bjergsen solo queue account. Again, like I said, obviously I saw Bjergsen playing on stream, so I know this is his account, but yes, this is what is going on. And if you take a look at this account, it's been going pretty well. He has a 61% win rate in Korean solo queue. He is now master 163 LP. I believe he's gotten here in like 12 days, something like that. Yes, he's been playing on this account for the last 12 days. Started off on a crazy win streak. He's starting to drop some more games, obviously, as he gets higher and higher up. But it's also cool that mainly he is still keeping that same philosophy for solo queue where, like he said in the spring, hey, I'm not just going there trying to win every single solo queue game. I'm trying to work on things. I'm trying to practice. I'm trying to get better. Obviously, that doesn't mean you're trying to lose games, but it means you would rather work on something you're bad at or work at something you need to work on rather than just sweat and cheese and win every game. And his two most played champions being Talia and Swain, these are two champions that in between spring and summer split have been changed and are, I don't know on the new patch if they are like super, super top tier competitive mid laners. I don't know enough about the competitive meta game since we haven't really get to see much of it yet. But these are two new champions that mid laners haven't been playing for the past couple of years that could definitely be meta at some point throughout 2022. Because again, there's always going to be buffs, nerfs, patches, stuff like that. But yes, Talia is now in solo queue, a good mid laner. Swain has gotten some change in stuff where he is more centered on the mid lane now. And obviously these are characters that Bjergsen has not played as much of. So I think it's really, really cool that he's going to Korea and practicing those two. Again, maybe they'll be super busted at some point in 2022. Maybe they'll both suck and they'll never really need play or anything like that. Or maybe they'll get nerfed in the ground. Who knows? But at least he's going to have more options and be more comfortable and familiar with them. And then Zoe, I think it's still weird that he has a 45% win rate on this champ, but his KDA is really, really good. I think Zoe is a champion that every mid laner really needs to have down, especially if you want to be one of the best mid laners, because this is a character that can just carry so many games, and it's just such an insane character. I'm thinking about, Caps had the game at MSI just recently where he was Zoe, I believe, against RNG, where he pops off. Team Liquid, when they got knocked out of Worlds last year, they lost against the Zoe that just like hard carried the game. Bjergsen historically has been a good Zoe. I know he carried a game in spring 2019 LCS finals on her, so I think that's really cool. And then just, kind of the classic champions, Ari, LeBlanc, Lissandra, just all kind of Bjergsen staples, and then obviously getting some Yone in there as well. But yes, things have been going pretty good. 61% win rate, 70 wins, 45 losses. He's ranked 2,000 in Korea right now. And I know when I made the video in spring, I said, hey, I don't really care that much about solo queue, especially since he's just going there practicing working. But there was a lot of people flaming him for having a low win rate or being hard stuck or maybe not being that good anymore. But now this Korean boot camp seems to be going a lot better. And again, he's here to play some solo queue, but to also scrim with his team as well, which ultimately at the end of the day, I think is a lot more valuable. So I think so far so good. Things are looking pretty cool. And I'm really, really hyped up and excited to see not only Bjergsen, but also all of Team Liquid going into the summer split, because I still do think that on paper they might be the most talented team in the West, but they're for sure the most talented team in North America. And again, Bjergsen has a lot to prove coming off spring split where they had a disappointing finish in the playoffs. He looked good in spring split, but he didn't look dominant. He wasn't clearly the best mid laner in the LCS. And now you have Jensen coming back in as well, who's also going to have a lot to prove, who's also going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder. And yeah, this will mean a lot because obviously as Bjergsen left TSM hasn't been so good without him. And he had a chance to kind of prove that, hey, I wasn't the problem on TSM, that I am the superstar. I am the guy who, built up TSM and now they're destroyed without me. but then he ends up falling short in the playoffs as well. So if he's able to, win a title, go to Worlds, get out of groups, while TSM also struggles on the other side, that's really going to help cement his legacy and help cement his greatness. But if TSM starts struggling and then he starts struggling too, maybe they were both the problem. I don't know. But that's pretty much everybody's video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate that so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about all this. Are you excited for Team Liquid heading into the summer? You think they're going to be good, bad? What do you think about Bjergsen grinding Soloq over in Korea? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Hope to catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.